The rain came down in sheets the night everything changed, blurring the lights of the highway into trembling streaks and pressing the world into a small, lonely circle around a flickering gas station. A single father sat in his dented sedan with the engine idling unevenly, hands stiff on the steering wheel, wondering how many miracles a man was allowed to ask for before the universe stopped listening. He had learned to survive on hope measured in small units, the kind that fit between paychecks and bedtime stories. He did not know yet that kindness offered without expectation would return to him like a tidal wave before dawn. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second and show some love. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing when no one is watching, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope tonight, comment what kindness means to you, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. The man's name was Daniel. Though most days he felt like a list of responsibilities rather than a person. He worked 2 jobs since his wife's sudden passing, one at a warehouse that smelled of cardboard and diesel, and another cleaning offices after midnight. His 6-year-old daughter slept in the back seat wrapped in a jacket that used to belong to her mother, her breath rising and falling in fragile rhythms. Gas money had been counted twice before the pump clicked on, each dollar spoken for. Daniel's life had narrowed into careful calculations, yet his heart remained stubbornly open, bruised but not closed. As he stepped out to pump gas, he noticed a woman near the far end of the station, crouched beside a sleek car that did not belong in a place like this at this hour. She was crying in the way people do when they have already tried to be quiet and failed, shoulders shaking, face buried in her hands, hair soaked and clinging to her cheeks. The station attendant was inside watching a small television, the rain and the late hour making the world feel abandoned. Daniel hesitated, knowing how thin his margins were, knowing that attention could cost time, money, energy. He also knew the sound of braking, and that sound had called to him. He approached slowly, careful not to startle her, and offered the only thing he had in abundance that night: patience. He learned through gestures and halting words that her phone had died, her wallet was missing, and her car refused to start. She looked out of place and deeply alone, the kind of loneliness that doesn't ask for pity, only relief. Daniel checked her battery with the small kit he kept, the kind of preparedness that comes from years of learning the hard way. He gave her his last bottle of water, wiped his hands on his jeans, and used his phone to call a roadside service he trusted, vouching for her with the quiet authority of someone who had nothing to gain. The rain soaked him through as he waited, making the cold creep into his bones. He did not mention his daughter sleeping in the car or the extra shift he would miss. He did not tell the woman that kindness felt like a gamble tonight. When the tow truck arrived and the woman's car was coaxed back to life, she looked at Daniel with an expression that held gratitude, disbelief, and something else that flickered and vanished. He refused any money she tried to offer, explaining without explanation that he couldn't take what he hadn't earned. He watched her drive away, taillights dissolving into the rain, and returned to his car feeling lighter and heavier all at once. Morning arrived with a gray, tired light. Daniel woke to the ache of muscles and the familiar dread of bills stacked like thin accusations on the counter of his small apartment. He made breakfast from what remained, packing his daughter's lunch with care and apology. The day moved with its usual grind, hours stretching thin, hope rationed. When he returned home after his warehouse shift, there was an unfamiliar car parked in front of his building, glossy and confident, in a place that knew only where. For a moment he wondered if he had made a mistake, if some small joy had been miscounted. The woman from the gas station stood near the steps, dry and composed, her eyes alert with recognition the moment she saw him. She carried herself differently in daylight, like someone used to rooms opening when she entered. Daniel felt the old instinct to retreat, to apologize for existing in the wrong place. She spoke with calm intensity, explaining that she had searched for him all morning, that she had learned what he would not say about himself, that sometimes the world rearranges itself around quiet goodness. He listened, unsure where to put his hands, feeling the ground tilt beneath him. She asked him to follow her, and against his better judgment, and guided by a trust he did not fully understand. He did. The city fell away into a neighborhood Daniel had only passed through on buses, a place of wide streets and trees that leaned like old friends over iron gates. They stopped in front of a mansion that looked less like a house and more like a promise, sunlight spilling across stone and glass. Daniel's mind refused the sight, cataloging reasons why this could not be real, why this belonged to another life entirely. Inside, the air felt different, quieter, as if the walls had learned how to listen. The woman explained without drama that she owned several properties, that she believed wealth meant nothing if it did not move, that kindness should be answered with courage. She told him the house was his, that the papers were ready, that she had watched him choose decency when no one was counting, and decided to choose him in return. Daniel's knees weakened. He thought of his daughter's cough in winter, of the ceiling that leaked, of the way hope had learned to whisper instead of shout. He did not celebrate immediately. He asked questions, careful ones, wanting to understand the cost, the expectations, the hidden strings. The woman smiled at his caution and assured him there were none. She explained that her own life had been saved once by a stranger who vanished before she could say thank you, and that she had been waiting for the right moment to repay a debt that never stopped accruing interest. She saw in Daniel the proof that goodness still walked the world unnoticed, and she wanted to build something lasting around it. The days that followed felt like walking through a dream that insisted on being real. Daniel moved his daughter into the mansion slowly, touching walls as if they might disappear. He learned the sounds of the house, the way morning light traveled across the floors, the weight of keys that opened doors without resistance. He did not quit working right away. He wanted the change to settle into his bones, to teach him its shape. He donated what he could, fixed what he could, and kept the rest modestly, afraid that excess would dilute gratitude. His daughter bloomed in ways that startled him. She slept through the night, laughed louder, learned to swim in a pool that reflected the sky. Daniel watched her become lighter, and something in his chest loosened its grip. He began to breathe with his whole lungs again. The woman visited occasionally, never intruding, always observing with a gentle satisfaction. She spoke of using the mansion not as an end but as a beginning, a place where people could gather, where help could be offered without spectacle. The story spread, as stories do, gathering embellishments and skeptics. Some called it a fairy tale, others a transaction disguised as grace. Daniel learned to let the noise pass. He knew the truth lived in smaller details: the night rain, the empty wallet, the choice to stop. He began volunteering more, using the house as a center for tutoring and meals, turning abundance into action. He taught his daughter that kindness was not a currency but a posture, something you carry into rooms regardless of what waits there. As seasons changed, Daniel understood that the mansion was not the miracle. The miracle was the way the world responded when he refused to close himself off, the way generosity multiplied when released without fear. He still struggled, still doubted, still woke sometimes with the old anxiety pressing on his chest, but he also woke to birdsong and the knowledge that a single moment of compassion had rewritten his map. If this story has been walking alongside you, if it has stirred something soft and hopeful inside your chest, please take a moment to engage. Like the video, share it with someone who needs a reminder that goodness matters, and subscribe so we can keep telling stories that heal. Before we reach the ending, we have one special request. Please comment below with the word kindness and tell us about a moment when someone helped you without expecting anything back. Your words might be the hope someone else is searching for tonight. On a quiet evening, Daniel returned to a gas station not far from the one where it all began. He stood beneath the same harsh lights, listening to the hum of cars and the whisper of rain on concrete. He did not come looking for repayment or recognition. He came to remember. He left an envelope with the attendant for anyone who needed fuel, then drove home to a house filled with laughter and purpose. The world had not become perfect. It had become possible, and sometimes that is more than enough.